Hello, vinyl community and anyone else watching this. I'm back with another video. This time I'm entering a contest, but more than entering a contest, I'm just saying congratulations to Randy Deadwax66. If you've never checked his channel out, check it out. He's into garage, he's into psych, he's into all things cool. Loves 45s. Great guy, one of the first probably 10 people I met on here. He sent me lovely VCLT before. He's just a great guy, and he's been rightfully down about people that only watch or subscribe to like the big view channels, and he's never cared about subs before, but YouTube changed their policy and he likes to do live streams on Friday nights. And if you didn't have 1,000 subs, you couldn't do it anymore. At least not with your phone. You had to do it with a stupid internet camera, whatever they're called. And anyway, so he was having a 666 subs contest. Finally reached that on his way to 1,000. Well, I'm happy to say that he's now reached 1,000. So congratulations, Randy. But if you're not over there, you're not watching, and you're not subscribing, do that. And Friday nights, check out his live show. I do when I can, which isn't very often. But he plays really cool stuff, and it's just a great place to be. Anyway, Randy, congratulations on not only 666, but 1,000 subs. You deserve it. And Randy wanted us to show local music from where you're from. Well, I'm from the middle of nowhere. So there isn't any local scene at all. My nephew's in a band. They even changed their name, and I forget what they're even called now. Just a covers band, and that's what you get, is covers bands. And there's not any place to play, so why would there be bands? But I am going to start with a town a couple over where the record store I go is, Ithaca, New York. And we've got from there the Burns Sisters Band. Now these are all sisters. There's usually 3 now, I think. Sometimes 4. I think there's 5 of them here. The number changed. They're folky, Indigo Girls kind of stuff as you kind of look at. Not really my thing, but I picked this up at a thrift, just have it, but not really my thing. But that's kind of it locally, really. Not a lot going on. But in the 80s and early 90s, I lived in, actually just the 80s, I lived in Buffalo, New York. Now Buffalo has a thriving music scene. I got involved in it. I worked at 2 record stores there. I got to know a whole lot of people there. And a few famous bands came out of there, and a lot of other ones that are really good. So I'm going to talk about Buffalo, New York, and their scene, at least while I was there and even before I was there. And I'm going to start off with this from the, whoop, lost the 45. From the late 50s or early 60s, I'm not sure exactly when this came out. It came out on Swan Records, Wild Weekend by the Rockin' Rebels. These guys were about the first band ever signed from Buffalo, New York. And they did the track Wild Weekend, which you have heard, even if you haven't heard the song, because John Fogerty ripped it off for Rock and Roll Girls, which is why he talks about Buffalo in the song. The Cars ripped it off from My Best Friend's Girl. The riff there is Wild Weekend. Everybody has ripped this song off. So, famous for that anyway. Next signed was a band called Raven in the 60s. The Tweeds were from there too, actually, if you've ever heard of them, and you probably haven't. But I have a Tweeds 45 somewhere, but I can't find it. I don't have the Raven album. And then that was about it from Buffalo for a long time. And then in the late 70s, a scene just started happening. And my friend Bernie Kugel was part of that scene before I arrived in Buffalo. And he was in a band called The Good. And here's The Good with their first single, Walk Around the World, backed with Clouds. It was on BCMK, which stood for the Buffalo College of Musical Knowledge. And there's The Good right there. And that would be Bernie Kugel, songwriter, singer, guitar player. That's him on the cover as well. Um, it even comes with a little like booklet fan note kind of thing. And for those of you that like to see labels, there's the BCMK label. It's probably too dark to see, but The Good put out 2 singles. This was their second one on BCMK record. This one's an EP 4x2. It's with also Mike Brodowski. And he's got one side and The Good has the other side. And this one is autographed to me by Bernie, which I thought was really funny. What does it even say? To a good man with great taste. Buy the first one, we need the money. Oh, no, that wasn't Bernie. That was Friday Night Dave, who didn't produce it. Kind of did. Kind of put up the money. I thought Bernie signed it. That's Friday Night Dave. Anyway, this has a song called Judy on it, which he would later re-record in his next band. And I just realized I had a cassette somewhere that I can't find. Anyway, I don't need to show it. Nimrod Wildfire was Mike Brodowski's sort of alter ego, and he came out with that in the late 80s. It's a 4-song cassette, which was kind of cool as well. I don't know what I did with it. I had it in my hand and it's gone. So anyway, that's Mike and that's Bernie, and this one, the label is different on this one. But BCMK was an interesting place to hang out and be, I am told. Anyway, that band transformed, lost a couple people, gained a couple people, into one of my favorite bands, the Mystic Eyes. Great garage. They weren't quite garage in The Good. They were garage-ish. But this is an all-out garage band. Get Hip 102, the second single on Get Hip Records. And there's the original. I also have a green vinyl copy of this somewhere. And I have a lot of Mystic Eyes singles. I'm just showing you a couple. And I think this came with... I ruined the record trying to get it out. Kind of an information sheet. History of the band kind of thing. Mimeographed. But Bernie liked to do that kind of stuff. He's a good guy. Last I knew, he was living in New York City. Haven't heard from him in years and years. One more by the Mystic Eyes as far as 45 goes, covering Little Girl by the Syndicate of Sound on this one. And they had 2 albums out. Our Time to Leave is their first album on Get Hip. And it is the first album ever to come out on Get Hip Records. The very first album. So he has that honor as well for you garage people that know Get Hip. This is the first album. And then a couple of years later, The Whole World Is Watching. This is a Beatlemania photo. I just think that's kind of so cool. And there you go there. And there was a compilation album that came out from BCMK in the very early 80s called Airwaves. And Mystic Eyes are on this. This is their first release ever. Actually, it's The Good. Thought it was Mystic Eyes. The Good, Message from My Heart, which is a fantastic song. Heading more towards garage on this. And maybe this is what Bernie signed. Remember, if it's The Good, I can't read it, it's fading. I don't know if you guys can read that, but that is signed by Bernie. Anyway, moving on here. So I'm losing time quickly. Band called The Real Wigs. They did 1 single and 1 EP. I can't find my EP, but here's the single. I'm taking way too long with this. These guys were garage, but a little bit of pop to them as well. And this is on their own label, Real Wigs Records. They self-pressed that. This is from about 1979, 1978, The Jumpers. This is really good kind of punk, late punk, early post-punk. Sick Girls is a really good song. I really like this a lot. And it's on Pious Records. And I believe these guys are related to a record I'm going to show in a minute. And of course, we've got Buffalo's Goo Goo Dolls. Yes, they did come out of Buffalo, as did Green Jelly. And I have nothing to show. And the album came out on Record Store Day, and I didn't get one. But Green Jelly is also from Buffalo, for those of you that remember them. This is the only one by the Goo Goo Dolls. Is this on colored vinyl? I don't think so. Yeah, it is. It's on pink vinyl. There's the label. I gotta hurry here. So Goo Goo Dolls, their first album on Pipeline Celluloid Records. There's the guys right there in their early days before they became top 40 songsters. Second album, Jed. This is probably their best album. Good stuff on here. James Dean is fantastic. And their cover of Down on the Corner with Lance Diamond, who was a black lounge singer, is just fantastic stuff. And this is maybe their last LP, Magnetic. Maybe they've had one since. This is actually pretty good. It's more of a return to form. The single on this was great, and I can't remember what it was called. Come to Me. Really nice song. Then we had the Splat Cats. I knew, which guy did I know pretty well? This guy right here. He was a customer at the store I worked in a lot, wore Sgt. Pepper jacket around a lot. But this is a cool title for an album. It's called Sin 73. What is Sin 73? You turn it upside down and you've got Elvis. Cool band. They did punk with a little bit of a surfy edge to it. Good band. And then they did an EP too. They remixed one song and put out a couple new ones. And this is their second album, which isn't nearly as good as their first. It's a little too produced, a little too good, if you know what I mean. I'm running out of time here. There's a band called the Jack Lords. This is a really good album. If you ever see this, pick it up. Great song called Dashboard Mary on here, which is really, really good. But there's a couple of really excellent songs on here. Garage again. And last but not least, The Restless, who got signed to Mercury Records. And I believe one of the guys from the Jumpers was in The Restless. But this was Buffalo's next stab after the Goo Goo Dolls, or just before actually, of stardom from Buffalo. Didn't happen. Okay album, AOR rock kind of stuff. And that's all I have to show. I have a lot more. Randy, once again, congratulations on 666, now over 1,000 subs. You have more than me, so congrats on that. Check out his channel, everybody, and go over there. It's, once again, Deadwax66. Go check it out. Hope everybody's doing well, and I'll catch you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.